welcome to the Service Drive Revolution podcast with your hosts, Chris, the Bulldog Collins, and Gary Daniel, the G-Man.
Welcome, everybody, to Service Drive Revolution. Wow. That hurt your ears, G-Man?
No, Lucas just sprung it on us. Go.
You're on fire. How's everybody doing today? They can't answer. They're listening in their cars. But it's a nice gesture.
They appreciate the thought.
I hope you're doing good today. We care about you.
That's right.
We really care about you, right, G-Man?
That's right.
Today we are going to talk about advisor pay plans.
Yes.
And so one of the biggest things that we hear, and I just got back from a world tour where I think you had me speaking everywhere.
Yes. When
I landed that Friday, I was like, oh man, this is so great. I'm not going anywhere I'm going to Miami for fun, for Art Basel or whatever, but oh my gosh, that was tough. Canada, you had me in Canada.
Mm-hmm. And, Winnipeg in the winter of all places.
Yeah, Toronto, Winnipeg. Nuts.
South Carolina.
Fun stuff, but you sent Jair with me on most of the trips. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but then I had to do our coaching rounds too, right? So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Then we were at DC and then back here. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it was funny when we were doing our coaching in DC. You know how Jair is, right? Like hot tub. Like when he gets something going, he won't let go.
You want to explain the hot tub reference? You want to unpack
actually,
that?
I don't.
Hot
Sorry,
tub,
everybody. I don't. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Reference to an idiot. But anyways, he. So you know how he gets, right? And so that week, the Seahawks are playing on Thursday night, and so he wants to watch the Seahawks game.
Okay.
Who are they playing? I think they were playing the Redskins, or I forget who they were playing.
Yeah, I forget.
And they, so he's, the day before, he's like, so where are we watching the game? I'm like, bro, I'm not watching the game. I said, let me explain how this works. We're in DC, right? I know from all the time being on the East Coast that, and I apologize to everybody listening on the East Coast, you guys get screwed.
Yeah. Because
NFL games start at 9:00 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're up until 1. Yeah. And so, although the second day of the coaching group, I didn't have to talk a lot. I had to be there, and we got clients, and we're workshopping and trying to make a difference in their lives and help them with their numbers and that sort of thing. And so I can't be out until 1 a.m.
Right.
And so I'm like, that's no, I can't do it. And then Jair's like, where are we watching the game? Like almost like I never even said anything, right? And then so that goes on. Then the next day, so that's the day I flew in. He was already there doing a boot camp or something. The next day, first break, where are we watching the game tonight? All the guys want to know. They want to watch the game. I'm like, bro, I told you. I'm not watching. By lunch, when we're watching the game, they're all asking me, man. They're all asking me where we're watching the game. It's the Seahawks. I'm like, I'm not watching the game, bro. I'm telling you. Why? He does that. And I said, I told you why. And his tactic is just to wear you down, right?
He just wears you down.
That's wears you down. Like, it's easier to say yes than anything. So why? And I go, well, I told you why. Tell me again. And I'm like, because you've never experienced this because you're a California kid, but the games don't start until like 9:00.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not over until 1. You're past midnight, and then we got to get up and be here the next morning. Oh no, the game starts at 7. In this lies my mistake. I didn't check.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh really? Because it's a Thursday night game, and in my head, I'm like, oh, well maybe it's different. Because I know it starts here early, right?
No.
Well, I don't know.
It's a primetime game, so
I did not fact check.
Yeah.
So fake news became reality. And so he's like, no, the game starts at 7. So I'm doing the math around 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, the latest I'd be in bed by 10. Okay. Where are we going to watch the game? So I flip on a dime. So our meeting gets over. at like 4:30. I go to this used bookstore there in DC that I love, and I'm in there with my headphones, the whole thing. He texts me like, "Where are you at?" I tell him, "Let's grab dinner." So we go. He picks this crazy Italian restaurant. It's like in somebody's house. That's a whole nother story, which is hilarious but fun. And the food was good. It was a fun experience. Then everybody's texting like, "Hey, where are we meeting?" And so, did we go to that cigar club in DC, the really nice one?
No, we went to a different one.
$5 million, nicest cigar club I've ever been in.
The one we went to was broken down and it was not nice. Remember, we went across town. We were there on like a Saturday or something like that.
Yeah, they were really nice there, but
nice people, but
ventilation's terrible.
Yeah, it was a bad joint.
This one's really nice. So this one looks like kind of like an old school Soho House W hotel kind of. So we get in an Uber because we're going to be there by 7 to watch the start of the game. So I don't know. We roll into the cigar club at 6:45 and everybody's going to meet us. And I tell the girl at the front, the hostess, I'm like, can we watch the game? She's like, game? I'm like, yeah, the football game, NFL. Oh, okay. She kind of, okay. And then, so she puts us at this table and there's a TV there and I'm looking and then the waiter comes over and goes, "Hey, can you put the game on?" Cause now it's like 7, right? Mm-hmm. There's no game at 7. The game started at 8:30 and the game was over at 12:30 midnight. He put me together. He can't be trusted.
Yeah.
He cannot be trusted.
Well, just like the last episode of the podcast where we were talking about my numbers from the doctor, he did that to you. He did the 15%. Oh, it's only 15%. You're like,
where you said I'm in the top 30%.
He did that to you. He just fudged the time a little bit. He just leaned on it.
No, and then here's the funny thing too. So like Bree, everybody's there, right? And they all heard his son is there. They all heard his lie. And then I said, "Bro, there's no game." "Oh, I said it started at 8. And I go, "No, you didn't." "No, you didn't." "Oh, yeah, I did." And then Bree goes, "No, you didn't, Jair." "Well, I said 7:30. And I'm like, "No, you didn't." No, that's not how that went. I'm going to start recording our conversations for this stupid thing of a Seahawks game or whatever. It was funny.
So I can see how his mind works though, right? He went from 8:30 back to 8. And then he thought, well, if we get there early, we could get a seat, get something to eat. So that's really 7:30. But really, he rounded back again to 7. So he worked his way all the way back to 7. That starts around 7.
I wonder when he was an advisor, did that ever bite him where he's like, "Well, I don't know. No, an engine, it's only 1,500.
He had very few heat issues. He didn't have a lot of stuff like that.
Then they show up and he's like, "No, I told you it was 5,000.
Yeah, he didn't have that. No. He over communicated if he was going to do anything.
It's funny.
But he
always sees the bright side of everything.
Yeah. He might have convinced them though. He might have done that.
I was not convinced.
Jedi mind trick where he's like, "No, I said 8."
No, it's funny. He's funny. That was fun though. It was a fun trip. Good group. It's funny how different our East Coast coaching group is from our West Coast.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
It's like night and day, really. So it's interesting.
It's interesting what gets what gets them fired up. Mm-hmm. It's fun. It was good though. I'm glad that world tour is over. It's cold in Canada right now, by the way, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, it's snowing.
Yeah, not here.
Meanwhile, it's going to be 80 here for Thanksgiving weekend or Thanksgiving holiday.
Feels hotter than 80 the last couple of days.
Well, it's 80 out by the beach, but so it's probably warmer here inland. So.
When I was up on the roof boxing this morning, it felt like it was 80. I was just dripping sweat. It was nuts.
When I left, they said it was 68 this morning. So it's
by the beach.
Yeah.
So add 10 degrees to that, right?
So it probably was just about 80
downtown.
Yeah. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah. Sorry, East Coast, North.
I know what I'm getting.
Our friends in the North. Sorry.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
What's that?
It's $2,000 made of carbon fiber. It's called the Death Wish Tesla. You're getting a Tesla skateboard.
Give me a new skateboard. I want the one wheel, so you get it. You have nothing else to do with your time. Google one wheel.
No, do not. You want the other shoulder? Then it'll be a knee, bro. Imagine this with a knee. Walking around with a knee.
Yeah. I had knee surgery a few years ago.
How often do you have to ice that thing?
Every couple hours, I got to put ice on. But really, just when it hurts, which is most of the time.
Yeah, that's real structured.
It's just
so
weird.
When it hurts, or every couple hours?
Every couple hours.
Because I heard the lady say every hour. I thought when she was here,
she said every 2 hours for 30.
You're doing
minutes,
a Jair.
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know if I could be trusted with that information. That's why my wife sits in.
I need to text Katya. I'm pretty sure she said every hour because I was like, whoa, when she said it.
Yeah, might be. I mean, I just pretty much have ice on it all the time, so I'm just always icing it.
Terrible.
It's a pain in the butt.
So every time I go speak to a 20 group, I don't know why this happened in the automotive industry, but somebody at a 20 group somewhere said, "Oh, you're going to pay your advisors on gross." And then everybody comes back, like, "Oh, we're going to pay our advisors on gross."
Yeah.
And so that happened. So there's two things wrong with our industry with this. And so before we talk about whether you want to pay on sales or gross, the first one I would say is, I don't know how many times we go into a store and we set up a pay plan. We lower the compensation as a percentage of gross. Lower.
Yeah.
Lower. We double the sales or the sales dramatically increase.
Yep.
And in the new system, there's advisors killing it. Killing it. They're the answer. They took direction, the training. They're attacking the drive. They're selling and they're killing it.
Yep.
And the dealer will come and go, "I'm not having an advisor making $8,000 a month."
I know.
You're like, but he wrote $175,000 in parts and labor.
Right.
I don't care. Not here. We're not doing it. And I'm like, I remember during the last recession, can I say the name of the public auto company that it was? It's the biggest one. How about that? And they're based in Florida. And I know there's good people there. We know good people that work there, but they're not, at this point in time, they were not that smart. Mm-hmm. So when the recession hit, I'm sitting there interviewing an advisor here in town for somebody. They said, "Hey, I want you to talk to this advisor." And I'm looking at his numbers. He's number one. And I think a Mercedes store here. Number one out of like 8 advisors. And I'm like, what happened? Why'd you leave? I didn't leave. They let me go. "Oh, what'd you do?" "Nothing. They just came in and I made the most money, so they let me go." And I'm like, "But you sold the most." "Oh yeah, I know. They did that." And they let so somebody is sitting in a room going, "We got to cut expenses." And so they look at what the highest advisors, highest techs, and highest salespeople make, and they let them go.
That's crazy.
I was like, "You're hired." What the? Seriously. Like, and then that started kind of happening. Like, you would start interviewing advisors and they were let go because they made the most money and they wrote the most money.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you want to keep good advisors and you want to have a culture and an environment where performance is rewarded, you have low turnover, then set up the pay plan right. So you have whatever personnel for your brand should be as a percentage of gross, and then let them go.
Right.
We didn't care if Hassan was making $400,000. Mm-hmm. He wrote more than the other 7 advisors that were next to him combined.
Right.
He was more than half the sales for the department.
Yeah. And what are you gonna do? You gonna get rid of that?
So yeah, he's making 30 or 40 grand. And that's still 7 advisors divided by that. He's writing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always thought about it that way. It didn't make any sense. And so this happens all the time where the cap for a service department's performance is in how you handle your advisors. Because as soon as an advisor makes $8,000 or $10,000, you're saying, "Oh no, we got to change the pay plan. They're making too much."
Yeah.
And that's capping your numbers. And so set up the pay plan and let them make whatever it is as a percentage. Learn, like, we'll help you do a pay plan. Mm-hmm. You can get it right. But if they're making money, you're making money.
Yeah.
And pulling it away from them just ruins the whole plan.
Yeah.
That's capitalism. Like, you're killing capitalism.
I don't know
Isn't
why.
America about
do
capitalism?
That. Oh yeah, for
Don't
sure.
get me started about that.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
it.
Have Bernie
I don't get it.
have Bernie come run your service department from Vermont. He's the answer. Have Bernie do it, right?
I don't think communism's worked anywhere. So I don't
it
think
feels
it
like
works.
as smart as we are as an industry in automotive, that's one thing where we consistently see guys mess it up or gals mess it up.
For sure.
Actually, it's mostly guys.
Mostly.
I can't remember
It's a men's industry.
a female dealer that ever did that to us. Can you? It's always guys. Short guys. It's funny. So that's my first rant about advisor pay plans is learn how to set it up right. Whether you're paying on sales or gross or whatever, when you cap what an advisor can make, it's one of two things. You don't know how to write a pay plan, or you're saying, I don't care if you write 200,000 in parts and labor and sell the lights out, you're only going to make $8,000. That's nuts.
It's demotivating. Nobody wants to live in that scenario. Like if you're getting paid off of what your efforts that you put in, you want to get compensated as the effort increases. You know, if you're doing better, you want to get paid more, and the store should make more money. So
here's what you want as a
sense.
dealer, and write this down. If you're a dealer or general manager, you want high fixed absorption.
Mm-hmm.
High fixed absorption comes from the performance of advisors. They're selling. I mean, it's techs. It's parts, it's everything, but advisors are driving that more than anything. And so the more they make, the more you make if you set it up right.
Yep.
You're not going to have high fixed absorption by penciling them every time they hit their goal.
Right.
It's like, oh, you hit your goal, let me take it away.
Right.
It's exactly the opposite that you want to do. And then what's your thoughts on paying on gross versus sales?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Why do you think people are so in love with that?
Well, I think number one is that as an industry, that's what we're accustomed to. You know, we're a sales driven organization. I think even today, and I think the sales department gets paid on gross, right? I mean, most salespeople get paid on the gross of the car.
I never thought about it that way.
And so I think we're conditioned to that. And then the other side of it too, I think, is that we don't do a good enough job managing our cost and truly understanding what our cost is and what our profit margins are in terms of labor, because it can be a difficult thing to calculate. And we are managing that by giving somebody a pay plan that's based on the fact that we can't manage it. You know what I mean? We're putting the ownership back onto the service advisor by paying them in gross. Because if we sell a job and the margins are lower on it, we don't want to pay the advisor the same. So we're going to have this kind of sliding scale. The problem is in the sales department, it's easy to calculate the gross on a car. They can figure it out. It's there in front of them. They can go to a screen. It's very, very clear. It's simple. In the service department, it's not simple. How does an advisor have any idea when he sells a transmission what the gross is going to be on that job?
And why do you want him to care?
Yeah. I don't want him to sell the thing and be done with it.
So here's the conversation that happens. So you'll tell a service manager, you'll say, the advisors don't know what gross is. And they go, yeah, they do. And I'm like, no, they don't. Oh, yeah, they do. And so then I'll call an advisor and I'll go, tell me the formula for gross. And they look at you like, I don't know. Or they'll make up some crazy cockamamie thing. They're trying to explain hours per row or something. They never know. They don't control gross. Most of the time, the manager controls gross.
Yep. I
mean, you can control gross by other ways, by having different rates of pay. You can have a maintenance. You know, you don't want to pay your $40 an hour diesel tech to be doing oil changes, but you can put in a maintenance pay scale where if they're doing oil changes that they don't get paid the $40 an hour. There's a lot of ways around it where you can manage that, but the advisor controls that way less than the manager.
Yeah. I think you need to set your pricing up for profitability. You manage it tightly. You understand how to calculate your margins and what your costs are. And if you do those things correctly and you manage, he doesn't have to worry about gross. All you want him to do is put hours through the shop. Oh, geez, is that me? All you want him to do is put hours through the shop.
Was that your fancy?
That was my watch.
iWatch? Is it iWatch or what is it called? Apple Watch?
Apple Watch, yeah.
It rings?
Yeah. It's got a phone on it. You can actually make phone calls from your watch.
Yeah, that's right.
I leave my phone at home.
Do you do that?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll go out. I'll leave it.
And it sounds good?
Yeah, you can talk right from me. It's crazy. It's crazy cool. I mean, this isn't a commercial for Apple, but it's a cool watch. This was a birthday present from everybody here at the office and Chris Collins himself. I appreciate it. Thank you. But at the iWatch.
But it sounds like a phone.
Yep. And you can talk and they hear you. It's crazy. I was asking Jair. I was talking to him on my wrist the other day.
Really?
Yep. It's clear as a bell. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
But anyways, to go back to what I was talking about, which I think I lost my train of thought. But I was just saying, if you can maintain your margins and you got your profitability set up right, then all you really care is your advisors driving hours through the shop. So if you know your hours are going to be profitable coming out the other end because you've done your due diligence and you can control your pricing up front. So if you don't let them discount, right? They sell what they have to sell for the price you set. You know it's going to be profitable. So then what difference does it make? Pay them on sales. Then they can calculate easily. They can look at it and say, I'm going to make X on this job, and they can get excited about it. And then, like you were saying earlier, is eliminate the caps, and you take the gloves off, you really set them free to sell as much work as they possibly can.
Yeah. And shenanigans happen when you pay them on gross because they don't understand it, but they don't understand that the parts gross is less. It's just sales is the number.
They're want trying to manage it.
Sales. You want them to focus on effective labor rate. That's what you want to focus on.
Exactly.
And so the best recruiting tool, and I'll put it up against any service manager's pay plan, and we're going head to head on an advisor that's a top advisor. Most of the time we're going to get him and you're not. If you're paying on gross, we're paying on sales.
Yep.
Because it's just easy to understand. And if you're paying 7% of gross, you're going to pay 4% of sales. Like, it's all relative. But it's easy for them to understand.
Imagine that in an interview too. I'm sitting across the table from you and you're going to tell me, well, we pay 7% of gross.
And they got the rap report where they came from and you're like, okay, let's try to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get a calculator and a piece of paper.
What is your parts cost?
The percentage is on a rap report, right?
Sometimes.
But the gross isn't on there.
No. Sometimes the gross is. I think in Reynolds it's on there, but not on CDK or whatever that is. But
you have to figure it out manually.
Yeah, it's just too much math. It's like, if you sell $100,000, you're going to make X. That's it. Like that's what you want them to know.
So that's our rant on PayPlans. I hope it helped. If you're sitting there right now going, yeah, I'm still going to pay on gross. That's fine. There's 10 ways to get there, but it's easier this way.
Yeah, I think it's a huge mistake. Imagine your advisors wandering around the shop to try to find the least paid tech to work on his car because he wants to manage the gross of that job so he can make more. Think about that for a second. Is that what you want him to do? I think that's a waste of his time. And does he truly know who can work on that car and what their skill set is? And you just don't want him thinking about it. You want him out front writing tickets.
It's the same thing when we go into stores and they don't pay the advisors on parts.
Yeah, that's another one too.
And you're like, oh, it's odd that your labor to parts ratio is so off. Mm-hmm. And then you start paying them on parts and all of a sudden we're selling parts. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's funny.
Go to a body shop and watch what they do because they will fix it if they can because they get labor.
Yeah, there's two ways to bid a job, right? Yep. You can Bondo or is it Bondo or what do you call it?
Yeah.
Labor.
They call it filler.
Pound it out.
Body filler. But I think that scenario is a true measure of it because the manager's trying to manage his gross and he's going to make a lot more if he does a repair versus a part. And I remember when I was in parts, we used to get body panels back all the time, constantly, because they would buy it and bid the job, then they would just decide to fix it because they could make more and it wasn't going to total the car. And so they're constantly managing that. You don't want your advisors doing that either. You just don't want them doing it. So to me, it's a failed strategy, Like you said, parts, you want them to sell everything that you got to sell.
I agree. That's good stuff. Well, just remember, everybody, we have the best advisor training and service manager university out there. We have a community that if you're not a part of, you should look into. Give us a call or an email, info@chriscollinsinc.com, inc.com, or the phone number is
1-800-230-5165.
And we look forward to talking to you and seeing if we can help you or assist you in any way. Beyond that, do me a favor, please pray for G-Man and his cholesterol. Because sooner or later that's going to come to a head. Pray he can be a vegetarian, that the Lord will give him the strength to be a vegetarian. No meat. And then have have a great week. Kick ass. Like, get excited. Let's go.
Yep.
It's Tuesday. Get fired up. Make this the best week. You're going into the holidays. It's going to be busy. Have some fun. Make a difference. Make some friends. Be the best you can be this week. And we will see you again real soon. Thank you.
Yep. See you.